to attend to COVID-19 patients. We aim to provide the frontliners of the Pasig City General Hospital live
And
kits which they can use daily.
we're live also on Zoom
Now,
now.
Feel
Just wait.
This webinar series is brought to you by Hoop Coaches International in cooperation with Blackwater. Smell good, feel good. This coaching webinar series would like to give special thanks to the following: Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas Coaches Commission Head, Coach Chico. Basketball Coaches of the Philippines President, Coach Louis Gonzalez. Dot Skills Head, Coach Alan Ricardo. And frontliner Christopher Top Juliano.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And I'm so thrilled for our last session that we're doing a skills session. So with the world-renowned skills coach and our most popular lady gager in the Philippines, who started with our swooshers basketball some 10 years ago. So I think she doesn't need any further introduction. She's Dandalet, Christiana Dimaunahan. Good evening, Dandalet.
Good evening, Coach.
All right, good evening. And of course, joining us still is our resident sports psychologist, Teddy Villasor. Good evening, Doc.
Good evening, Coach. Good evening,
And,
Coach.
yes. And, this coach has been to the Philippines for three times, and he's passionate about teaching the game, and you will love his YouTube skills work, and it's available on YouTube, and I'm just so thankful that he's gonna join us tonight for a skills session. Feels free to share those YouTube links and his teaching points tonight. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Coach Ryan Goodman. Good evening, Coach, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Good evening and good morning to you.
Good evening, good morning. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here with you guys.
I like the jersey, Coach. Yeah, I like it. I'm feeling it.
That's right. Got to represent. Got to represent for the Philippines. As we talked about a little bit yesterday, it's probably my favorite place to do basketball camps and clinics. I love it. Just the love for basketball in the Philippines is at a whole other level, versus anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. So you mentioned you've been in the country 3 times. So can you tell me more about it? And tell the coaching community here about your journey,
Sure.
to being a coach, being a skills coach, just traveling the world.
Sure. Yeah, I've been to the Philippines 3 times. Each time was for a little over 6 weeks, and I would do, just spot to spot, city to city. We do big camps and clinics. Just had a great time. I would always come over with a good friend of mine, Michael Sinabre. He runs an academy called Coach K Academy, and we'd hit different spots and just really grind. I don't know if we got a day off in the 6 weeks, just a lot of basketball. And as far as me as a skills trainer, I've been really blessed. I've been blessed by the Lord. I say, I used to take my basketball everywhere that I went, and today my basketball takes me everywhere. And I've been to 7 countries. I've been to 30 states, but I have humble beginnings. I had a failed basketball career because of knee injuries. I've torn my ACL 4 times, became a basketball manager for a team. So I went from playing to, washing the clothes and rebounding, carrying bags, and just to stay involved with the game. And I did that at a Division I school in North Carolina called Appalachian State. But that was such a blessing because at an early age, I got to be around great coaches, see the game through a different lens, learn how to be a teacher, learn how to be a coach, a motivator. And right around the same time in our conference was a really exciting time because our biggest rival was Davidson College and Steph Curry. And of course, he would kill us. The nicest guy. He'd do it with a smile. He's so humble. And he'd do it really quickly. And he put 40 on us, and we could never beat him. But It was really through that connection with Stephen Curry that kind of launched my basketball training career. When I graduated from college, he gave me an opportunity. He saw my ball handling drills. He loved them. And he's like, Ryan, would you direct my Stephen Curry Skills Academy? We bring in the top players from around the world. And a lot of those players that were at that camp are now in the NBA. So he gave me that opportunity. And of course, anytime you're associated with, and he wasn't at the time, but you're associated with a 2-time NBA MVP, that certainly helps with camps and clinics and workouts. So Stephen Curry was a big help for me. I have a lot of mentors. Gannon Baker, world-renowned skill development coach who's been in the Philippines many times, has been a mentor, has been great to me from, helping me to be a better teacher, leader, motivator, to, extending opportunities to me that I wouldn't have been able to do without his help. I've been doing it for 10 years now. I train all level of players, from little kids up to pro level. Majority of the time, though, in my day-to-day is with grassroots level players and working with players at that level.
A great journey, Coach. Great journey. So, do you want to start, or how do you want to do it, Coach? The floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you. So I thought today what would be fun is talking about offensive moves, going through how I teach offensive moves to players, because I know we've got both players and coaches watching. So I wanted to hit on a topic that everybody be excited about. So we're going to work on like how I teach moves, and we're going to do it a couple different ways. We're actually going to work on the moves in the video. I have some pre-prepared videos that I'm going to show you from my YouTube channel. But before we get into those YouTube videos where you're going to see me actually teaching and coaching and drilling, I just want to kind of lay the groundwork for what I look for, what I'm teaching, in the foundation. So when we start to watch the videos, you're going to hear me say a word called skill ingredients a lot. That's just a fancy word for fundamentals. And I'm a big believer that practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. That the best players of all time, these successful players, leave footprints for us to follow, but we've got to be really detailed. We've got to practice the right way, and we've got to identify what those skill ingredients are that make their moves so successful. Because I think we can all agree that a crossover from Allen Iverson versus an average player, and it's a common move, it's just two different types of moves, right? So we're going to identify skill ingredients today in our videos. But to me, skill ingredients and fundamentals aren't powerful to players unless they know how to work on them. So we're going to do a ton of breakdown drills. So I love to, I really believe in learning slow, taking our time, and I think it expedites learning. So we'll take a move, we'll break it into a lot of different pieces, and then we're going to build it back up. And I think that helps players to identify those skill ingredients and kind of expedite that learning process. So the way I study offensive moves and I'm learning from great players is, of course, I watch game film. And I watch it two different ways. I love to watch in slow motion, and then I love to take screenshots. And I got that from the late Kobe Bryant. He'll take a screenshot because he says, wow, I mean, that really gives you a whole other perspective, and you just freeze in time and you can say, wow, they are this low, this player has got their hand here, they're looking this way, and it allows you to identify a lot of these skill ingredients because they can be hard to miss. To me, sometimes in offensive moves, it's the most subtle things that can make the biggest difference. So I love to watch. You'll see that in the videos. You'll see some screenshots where I'm freezing it and you're looking at the image and we're kind of really examine it. I love to watch in slow motion. And as I'm a teacher of the game, I constantly have to learn to move myself before I teach it. So the way I do that is I will watch and work, watch and work, watch and work. And I love to have feedback too. So anytime I'm working on a new move, I'm filming it. I'm doing it in front of a mirror. If you don't have feedback, then you're not really certain. So for the players watching today, I would encourage you to be your own skill development coach. You're going to get more reps alone than you will with a coach, and you need feedback. So do it in front of a mirror, film yourself, watch it, work at it, watch it, and work at it. For offensive moves, this will definitely be something to write down for the coaches and players. I break moves into 6 areas when I'm breaking them down. So any move, I'm looking at these 6 areas so I don't miss any of those important skill ingredients. The first is, and I got my ball with me today. The first is ball work. When you're watching a player and you're trying to study how they're doing a particular move, the first thing we want to look at is what's going on with the basketball. All right. If they're dribbling it, if it's a finishing move, if it's a triple threat move, what's going on with the ball? And the more detailed, the more observant we can be with identifying what's going on with the ball, the better we're going to be. And then we'll try to replicate it. So we got ball work. The second is footwork. What's going on with the feet? A lot of times that's the most important thing, is the footwork. Is it a direct step? Is it a cross body step? What type of step back is it? Is it a touch step back? Is it a punch step back? So we try to identify, what's going on with the feet. And we want to be detailed again. The third is body work. A lot of times this is what sells the move. Is it, and I would identify, your body work as anything from below your chin to your ankles. So, rolling your shoulder in a move, shifting your weight, what's going on with the body. And then fourth is clockwork. And clockwork is the timing. And we all know that timing can beat speed, timing can beat size. So I want to identify the order of operation with the timing. Is it ball work, then footwork, then body work? And in what variation is that? Because you can totally change a move just by changing the timing with the move. The last 2 have to do with the defense, your workspace. There's a lot of different ways a defender can personally guard you. So are they forcing you right? Are they forcing you left? Are they playing off? Are they playing you tight? You got to have tools in your toolbox for all of those. And as we're studying a move, we can know how to do the move. We can do it amazingly. We can be so fast. But if we use it in the wrong situation, it's going to lead to a turnover. Like, I'm never going to jab really hard and expose the ball if somebody's bullying me. I'm going to go to my pivot move, which we'll work on later. So how is your defender guarding you when you're watching Steph Curry do the move? Identify that workspace and how their defender is guarding them in that right game situation. And then last is work environment. And that's just looking beyond your personal defender in the video, in the breakdown. Where's the nearest help defender? A lot of the best players have X-ray vision. They're not just reading their defender, they're reading the next defender, and their move may be dictated on how the team is playing defensively together. So those are 6 categories. Again, if you're taking notes, it's ball work, footwork, body work, clockwork, workspace, and work environment. And I find that really helps me to get it right. And that's what I want. I want to have not just practice, but perfect practice, because that's important. We want to, again, successful players leave footprints for us to follow. I want to add a couple other things, and we can touch on this later too, because I think this would be an interesting discussion. Is once a player is going through this process of learning, the first is imitation. You want to imitate it as best you can. I've found that, that's the way to go about it. We want to imitate the best players. So we got imitation. The second phase is implementation. In the imitation phase, it needs to be a stress-free environment. There's no yelling and screaming from the coach. There's ultimate patience. There's repetition and correction. And it's stress-free. We're not playing one-on-one. We're not playing 5-on-5. A lot of those things can take away from the learning process. I'll have progression in the imitation phase. I may start without a ball. I may take one category and say, we're just going to work on the ball work. We're just going to work on the footwork. We'll build it up. We try to imitate it. Second phase is implementation. Then we're actually going to try to use it in competition, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, build it up to a 5-on-5. situation. The third phase is something that I didn't do until maybe 2 years ago, and it's innovation. And I got this from a good friend of mine. I'm always blessed to work camps with amazing coaches and players. And when that happens, I just listen. I don't talk a lot. I just listen to what they're teaching and telling me, and I ask a lot of questions. And one coach I've been blessed to work with is Coach Les Robinson. He's had an amazing career in college basketball. He played at North Carolina State. He coached at the Citadel, East Tennessee State, and at North Carolina State University. So he's coached in the ACC, coached at the highest level. But to me, the most interesting thing about Les Robinson is for probably 7 to 10 years of his career, he was the assistant coach for Press Maravich. And he said, Ryan, I've played more one-on-one games with little Pistol Pete Maravich than anybody. So, of course, that's my favorite player. That's the guy I look up to, Pistol Pete. And I said, well, can you tell me about Pete? And he said, Pete would work. He would train 8 to 10 hours a day. He would do these things. He would watch the best players, learn from the best players. But he said the thing about Pete is, he said, and he gave an analogy. He said he wasn't like a classically trained basketball player or a classically trained musician. He's like a jazz musician. He's an artist with the basketball. And he said constantly Press would show him moves and drills and things. And then he would say, Pete, make it your own. He would be like, innovate. And I think that's huge as basketball players. And I think even in the old school Pistol Pete movie, which I love, Press puts a dot on the basketball. And he says the basketball represents all that could ever be known about the game. And he said this little dot represents what we know today. And he challenged Pistol Pete to be an innovator, to go beyond. And I think that's important and pertains to offensive moves, because once you master something, innovation can lead to deception. If you vary it, if you change the timing, if you change the ball work a little bit, if you change the footwork a little bit, it becomes a completely different move. And, that can be termed as crafty or savvy. There's all these terms for it. But I think the best offensive players in the world are artists with the basketball. I look at Kyrie Irving, and it's just ridiculous. It's like he changes it every time he comes down the floor. And for players that want to develop that skill, and you want to innovate, you first have to imitate. You learn from the best, and then through that imitation, you can develop some innovation, with it. So, Coach, we've got some videos we're going to go through today.
Yes.
If you
I'm
could
just
help
not
me
on
out.
cam. Yeah, I'm not just on cam, Coach. They don't need to see me anyway. So.
Sure.
Here.
So
I'll
the
be
first
ready
one.
for it.
Okay, the first one we're going to watch. This is a breakdown. I thought we start with an iconic move, the Allen Iverson crossover. So you're going to see me demonstrate it, explain it, break it down. We'll see some breakdown drills, some skill ingredients. Then we're going to come back, and then we'll try to work on it a little bit live. We'll take one of those drills and fundamentals and practice it. So I'll take a break here. I'll let y'all watch and listen to the video. It's about 4 minutes long, and then we'll come back and work on it together.
Right. It's trying to play.
Okay.
It was playing in practice earlier.
No problem. Well,
Yeah, we got time. Yeah, just keep on talking a bit.
I think it's cool to start with the Allen Iverson crossover, because it seems he made an entire career out of one move, and it was different and deceptive as well.
There you go. Hope this one works now.
Okay.
Was working earlier.
No problem.
Go. Mm-hmm. There we go. Everybody can see it now? For whatever reason, it's not playing. Right.
I think it's your Wi-Fi, Coach.
it was good earlier.
Sure.
I turned off all I turned off all my devices. So,
No problem.
mhm.
Coach Ryan, tell us about that jersey, that keeper's jersey. While we're waiting.
Yeah, while we
It-
wait for some
Sure.
technical difficulty,
Sure.
try to share
So
it. Yeah. Tell about the jersey first, coach.
I've been blessed to do some camps in the Philippines, and on my last trip, it was a gift to me at one of the clinics that I did, and so gracious. And I wear it all the time when I work out now. And but like I said earlier, of all the places I've ever been, the Philippines is my favorite spot for doing basketball clinics and camps. It's just a whole other, for those that are watching that aren't from the Philippines, it's just a whole other level of, basketball passion. Oh, it sounds like we might have it.
Yep. It's for what my quick time wasn't working, so I put on another. Should be all right. All right, wait up.
We're gonna learn it today, and also 2 counter moves to go with it. But first, we're gonna break it down and learn the skill ingredients.
All right, everybody seeing it?
Today, and we'll learn some drills to really make those ingredients a habit.
Is it okay now, guys?
We got our warm up. 2 ball pound ground. So my feet are extremely wide. I'm low on a stance, and I'm punching the dribble down and into the ground. This is a great accountability drill for play. To play low, you're gonna be stronger. You're gonna have leverage, and then drills like this. It's not comfortable. And so it's a great accountability. Also, so notice as I'm punching the dribble to the ground, I'm extending my elbow. So I'm not just using my wrist to dribble the ball. I'm using my whole arm so I can get more velocity, more power on my dribble. And again, that's another great habit to have in your game. Now time to work on our first skill ingredient. Skill ingredients are the minute details that make a big difference in the effectiveness of moves. And the first is a ball shift. You want to get the ball wide into your outside pocket. That's going to be the term. If you can shift the ball, you'll shift the defense. If we get the ball so wide that there's nothing between the ball and the basket, then it forces the defense to make a decision. Do they guard you, or do they guard the basketball? And that's the foundation of the move. We must be able to handle the ball and get it wide to our outside pocket. So a great drill here using a second ball. I'll pound the basketball on my right side, on my left side, then drag the ball through the air to my wide outside pocket. That's the start. That's the beginning of the move because it gets the defense to shift. Do they guard you? Do they guard the ball? Our second skill ingredient is called the body shift. Notice as my weight is shifting in the direction of the basketball, in the direction of my fake. And why is that important? If you were really going to go to the right, your core and your body's weight would shift in that direction before you went downhill on your attack. And a great way to activate the body shift in your game is with a drill called floor touches. I want you to try to touch just in front of your opposite foot on ball side as you shift and move with the basketball. This holds you accountable for shifting your weight, for shifting your core, and for activating the body shift. Skill ingredient is called the magnet hand. And that's just simply bringing your shield hand in the direction of the fake or the basketball. And that sells the drive in that direction. You wouldn't go right without bringing that left hand as a shield before attacking downhill. So use it in your fake. A great breakdown drill for focusing on that magnet hand and Iverson crossover is using a pop-up defender or a chair or a cone, whatever you choose. You guys got to reach across your body towards the direction of the basketball. But I want you to actually come in contact with that chair or pop-up defender. So being really violent with that reach across your body is important for selling the fake. So don't be shy. Really come in contact or slap that chair, that pop-up defender, or that cone before crossing that basketball back over and attacking downhill. It's now time to put everything together, work on that Iverson crossover series. So let's review really quickly. We got the ball shift, we got the body shift, we got the magnet hand to apply to the move. But the reason the Iverson move is so effective is he could go right, left, and he could shoot out of it. So he would get that ball out wide. If the defense would shift and move, he would cross him over. If the defense didn't shift or move with the ball, he would just go on that hesitation. And then if they backed up and gave him respect, he would sidestep or step into his shot. Also notice my footwork on the crossover and the hesitation is I'm stepping across my body with my footwork to go. We call that a cross body step. And also one other thing to point out is another skill ingredient would be pausing as you get the ball to your pocket. If you can pause it there, then you can have that little bit of a moment to read what the defense does. This is an action, then reaction move. So having that little pause as you get to your outside pocket can give you a little bit more time to read where that defender is leaning or shifting their weight.
All right. So,
Great. Thank you, Coach.
all right. So ready for some skill work with Christiana here. You ready, Dadelet?
Ready, coach.
All right. Take over,
Awesome.
coach.
Do I
Awesome.
unmute
So-
my mic? No.
It's all right.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
So as we were watching the video and, I'm going over some skill ingredients and some breakdown drills, and I want to hit on that just for a moment. It's important for us as coaches. If we have a fundamental, then we need to have a drill to teach it and hold players accountable for learning it. So I thought, let's just take one of those. To me, the one that makes maybe the biggest difference is that magnet hand. And when I've been studying the crossover from not just Allen Iverson, but like some of my favorite street ball players, Bone Collector, The Professor, Pat the Rock, it's that magnet hand that is so aggressive coming across their body. And it almost subconsciously as a defender, you react to it thinking they're going to drive and get downhill that way. So my favorite drill for that is the chair drill. So that's what we're going to try now. And you'll just have a chair set up and you can kind of face the chair towards you, like the back of the chair. And that'll work. And every time you cross over, so if you're crossing over from left to right, you're going to reach across your body. You're going to touch that chair just like that. Yep. And then you'll cross back. So you can kind of get in a rhythm each time. You'll cross, be violent with that hand, cross back, just like that. Perfect. And continue. Nice. Oh, yeah. Just like AI there. Reach across the body, sell it. Perfect. So that's one of the important skill ingredients. And you can really use it on any type of combo move. It's not just the Iverson crossover that reach across. Let's try this. See if you can go with a little bit different timing, because you're a hooper. You're ready to innovate right now. See if you could change the timing just a little bit and go ball work to the outside pocket first, pause, then go offhand magnet second. So like cross, pause, then offhand comes across. Sometimes like a later delayed fake can be even more deceptive, like that late possible movement. So cross, pause, then come across. All right, not bad. So the ball will go first and then bring the hand second. Ball goes first and then hand comes second. There you go. Then cross back. That's good. Good. So just a little bit different timing in the move can make it a little bit more deceptive. And again, it's something you can work on any type of off the dribble move with. And it kind of holds you accountable to a couple of things when you're doing using a chair. It forces a player to move the offhand, the magnet hand, forces a player to turn the inside shoulder when they do that, which sells the drive. If you're really going to go right, that shoulder is going to rotate and turn to the right. And a lot of times their head and eyes will turn as well. They're going to look in that direction to sell it. So it's a, for me, it's a very good drill to hit on a lot of different skill ingredients. let's try another one here. And let me see if everybody can hear me if I go off the headphones here. Can everybody still hear me?
I hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Let me see if I can get in the drill a little bit. I'm not supposed to dribble in the house, so nobody tell on me here. Let's see if I can set up here. Y'all can see it. The next drill we're going to do is the body shift. If you want to really shift a good defender, you got to move the core. You got to shift the core. So for some players, that can be just a skill set they never touched on, and maybe they're stiff in their hips, and you need to loosen up. And because our hip flexibility is so important to our explosiveness as a basketball player in our face. So let's try this drill. We'll start easy. So for younger players, just move the ball with your body. So if you cross to the right, move the ball to the right. All right? Body and ball are together. You go between the legs, behind the back. We're just opening up our hips. We're shifting our weight, and we're moving our body in the ball. If you want a little bit more accountability, fun drill is just touching right in front of your toe. So if I cross to my right, I got to touch the floor, touch just like we saw in the video. We're touching, we're making any type of dribble move there, shifting our weight. Perfect. You're killing it. You're killing it. Nice. So she's got a great movement with her body, and she's also dropping in our stance too, which is crucial. If you have if you got a cone or something like that, you can also work on like that. I think everybody can see my cone, maybe.
Yes.
You can work on more of a body shift with that. So I'll put the cones either outside my stance, and I got to shift ball and body. I got to touch, or I'll put them on one side, and I'm working on more combo moves where I'll make a move, touch, shift, come back, which are all things that are important with that Iverson crossover is the body shift, that offhand magnet. And I think coaches, it's important. Oh yeah, she's got it. She's got it. So she held accountable there for activating. Because sometimes, like especially that beginner drill, if we don't have drills that hold, and I train a lot of younger players. So for college and pro players that are watching that, they can imitate, but sometimes younger players, they can see it. They're not visual learners. They got to do it. So we got to hold them accountable. So especially these drills for younger players are important and crucial. Try it with like both of your cones on one side. Try it with both on one side. Let's try that. So it's like you can take both cones. You can put them on one side, kind of outside your stance. You can make a move towards the cone, touch, come back, touch, back. Touch back. So we got combo moves with it. And I love this. It really does. Oh, yeah. I mean, we see it. She's already looking so shifty in the move right here. It's forcing her to drop her hips, get low like a driver would. It's forcing her to get outside her frame and shift her weight. She's got a good ball shift. And I just think that's like direct application to the move. So that's awesome. Handles. Yes. Yes, love it, love it. Perfect, perfect. So for coaches watching, you know, there's a lot of different drills out there, you know. And for you watching, you know, you may go through a breakdown of the move, and your skill ingredients may be slightly different, or you want to add something else. But just have drills and lots of drills to work on it. If I'm working with an older player and they get it, I may not even go through this whole breakdown if they can identify it. But if they need to work in an area, I've got the drills to kind of help them to do that. Awesome work. Awesome work. I'll let you rest for a second. That was awesome. I'm going to put my headphones in just for a second.
All right. Okay.
I'll be back with you. All right, I'm back. Everybody hear me again?
Yep.
Awesome. I saw one question earlier. I'll answer it. Who is my favorite Filipino basketball player? He may be watching. I hope. When I came over like 5 or 6 years ago, I got to go to a national team practice, and Jimmy Alapag was very gracious to me. He went to lunch with me, answered a lot of questions for me, gave me a lot of great insight. about success and leadership. And I'm 5'10". I'm a smaller player, so I love little point guards. So for me, my favorite Filipino basketball player would be Jimmy Alapag, Mighty Mouse. Hooper.
He's coaching now. He's coaching.
Yes.
He just had a session with us over the weekend. So yeah.
Really?
Shout out
Really?
to Jimmy.
Shout out to Jimmy.
All right.
But I saw that question. I wanted to.
There's
wanted to
one
answer
question from one of our professional players also here, Carl Tejesa.
that. Okay.
How difficult was the transition from a player to a trainer for you? When did everything click and find your rhythm as a trainer?
That's a really good question. The basketball stops bouncing for everybody at some point, and basketball comes to an end. And for me, it came earlier than I wanted it to. And I know a lot of times your identity is wrapped up in being a player. So for me, there was a little bit of a process of, letting that go and getting into the coaching and training world. It was a couple year process. But for me, I think it was an easier path because it was my only path, right? So sometimes when you're a player, you're trying to make the decision on when to stop, when is best for you and your family. For me, it was kind of, that decision was made because of my injuries. But if my advice would be to have unbelievable mentors in that world. And this would be advice to younger players too. Have 3 mentors, people that share the same beliefs, share the same passion, and are doing exactly what you want to be doing one day. And they can serve you, like we said, success leaves footprints, and you can follow those. And having a mentor, having someone that can pour into you, and also having somebody that is like guardrails for you. They can keep you on that path. They can keep you motivated, disciplined, consistent. And for me, I've had many. Gannon Baker, Matt McMahon, the head coach at Murray State University. There's so many. I have so many peers and friends that I lean on that have helped me in the process. So I think that helped it be smooth for me as a trainer, is having people that have been there before, that could teach me how to play this game, that could teach me how to, because it's more than just the basketball coaching and teaching. It is a business too. So I think for me in my transition, that was probably the most helpful and made it more smooth for me.
All right. So we can go on with the next one. Which do you want me to play?
Sure.
Those?
Sure. Let's dive into. Let's keep it on the crossover. So I had another video prepared for everyone on the Ja Morant crossover. That's the term I gave it because that's the most recent player that seems to use it a lot. But it's an old move. It's a misdirection crossover. It's a crossover followed by a jab and body shift in the opposite direction. And I think if I took a poll of college professional players, they would say probably this is the toughest move to guard if you get good at it. I love the misdirection cross for a number of reasons, but probably the biggest is it gives players a head start, like myself, that might be a step slower because your fake is delayed. So when everybody watches this video, know that this is a concept. It's not just a move. This can be applied to any change of direction dribble move there is. It's just simply taking your fake in the opposite direction of the ball and delaying it to the very last moment. And you'll see that explanation in the video on that proper timing. But of all the basketball moves, this might be my favorite one off the dribble. So we can check that out now.
The best basketball moves. All right, wait. This one?
Oh, not that one. The Ja Morant. My fault. But we will see that one too.
All right. Coach, that one I don't have.
No problem.
Can you show it on yours? Can you show it on yours, or you can? I have
I
the
don't
Steph
have it
Curry.
pulled up, but let's do the bully defender. That'll be a good
Okay,
one too.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
give
yeah,
it.
yeah. So yeah, let's get
That'll be
back to the
fine.
John Morant. I'll have it played on YouTube. So sorry about that.
No problem. And for everybody watching, all of these videos are on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ryan Goodson 23. You can watch them. There's hundreds of them. So if you saw something you liked and you want to revisit it, you can easily check that out.
Hey, this is Coach Ryan.
Okay.
So the video we're about to watch is about a move and I love to give players tools in different game situations. So the workspace would be when you don't have any. That defender is just being very aggressive. And I call this how to beat a bully defender. So we can check that out.
All right.
You know the defender I'm talking about, the one that guards you tight, that gives you no space, no respect. Anytime you're playing against a defender like that, it's important to utilize what I call a cross-body step. And it's basically a pivot. And we're going to work on a lot of moves and options out of this series later on in the video. But first, we got to have a foundation for playing against a bully defender. And first and foremost, we got to protect the basketball and what I call protection pockets. And we have 4 of them: behind our head, in our left side, our right side, and under our body between our feet. These are 4 areas we can put the basketball and protect it while facing pressure and facing a defender that's guarding us tight. It's important to never expose the basketball to the defense, and it's also important to keep that ball active and moving. And the way we can change direction and move that basketball from pocket to pocket is utilizing sweeps. We can sweep below the defender's hands, or we can sweep above the defender's hands, going behind our head. We want to be active with the ball so that it's not a
Low battery, please recharge.
pressure from a bully defender is to step between and behind their feet. A lot of players make the mistake of just stepping between their defender's feet to relieve pressure. It's important to step between and behind so that you have leverage to move that defender. Let's now circle back to the cross-body step that we mentioned at the beginning of the video. It's important when utilizing this move that we beat our defender's feet. We get the lead foot, the shoulders, and the ball past the defender on that first step. And there's a lot of options in the move. The second option is I can just attack downhill. But again, I'm beating their feet. That's the emphasis. We can't beat a bully defender if we don't have leverage by beating with our lead foot, our shoulders, and the basketball. And I love this drill to perfect that skill. Second is pace and momentum. We don't just step across our body quickly. We do it with pace so that we can get a better read on what our defender is doing. Secondly, by stepping up, over, and down, we now have gravity assisting us in our move. And that gravity gives us momentum and allows us to be explosive in the move and its secondary options. Notice in the drill the purpose of the cones. I'm not just stepping across my body quickly. I'm stepping up and over the cones before descending down into my move, which holds me accountable for pace and sets me up perfectly for that gravity assist, which makes me more explosive in this move. So it's basically like I'm falling down into the move, and that gravity assists me in being more explosive. Our last drill and key to the cross-body step is to close the door at the end of the move. When you establish that dribble to go by your man, simply extend your inside arm into open space, and you've essentially won the race on the first step. If you extend that arm, you've closed the defender's door, and now you have that inside position between them and the basket. It's now time to work on the cross-body step and its counter move options. This is my go-to move anytime I face a defender that's guarding me tight, that's being a bully, is being really physical with me. I'll always step across my body because pivoting beats pressure. You can't just drive by that bully defender. You can't just use your jab when the defense is guarding you tight. We got to first relieve pressure before we can go about attacking pressure. And the cross-body step is a great option to do that. And you can see here, it all begins the same and then ends differently. It's an action and reaction move. So depending on how the defender reacts on my cross-body step, I've got a number of options. So study the moves and all its counter options, and make sure you remember all the skill ingredients that we covered in the drills earlier in the video.
So yeah, that's one of my favorite moves against a bully defender. And that's something that can be applied for the kids that are watching, for pros. And just want to hit on a couple of things before we look at it, we work on it. A couple of things I said in the video was options. I heard an interview with Kyrie Irving recently, and he talked about, what makes him hard to guard is he has counter moves to counter moves to counter moves. So I love to, give players tools in a sense, where they don't just have tools, they have the right tool for the job. And I think that's a mistake some players make, is they use the wrong tool at the wrong time. So you have a bully defender, cross body step. So it starts the same, but ends differently. It's action and reaction. We're not just a robot when we're making offensive moves. We must read the defense. That is crucial. So the first two examples we've had with the Iverson crossover and this cross body step, both of them are done with pace. I'm not going 100 miles an hour. There's a speed change. I'm going from slow to go. And the purpose is more than just deception. I want to read the defense. And I get a better read if I go slow. When you're going off the bounce, you got to float that dribble, younger players. Like, it's not always just going fast with the ball. Float it so you can get a read, so you make that right read and that right reaction. And when it comes to counter moves, if you can level it, like, I just feel like the more options you have, the more successful you're going to be. Even if you're not necessarily going to use them, but you're equipped to where it's a reaction in the game. You don't have to think about it. It's just habit, where you can go right. In particular, it's a good move if you can go right, go left, and shoot out of it. But, especially for older players, I try to take it a level or two deeper and having a counter to that counter, and then maybe a level deeper with a counter to that. Not that every player needs that. But if you look at Kyrie Irving, he has counters to counters to counters into a spin move, splitting a double team, and it's just ridiculous, like the layers he has. And it's not anything he's thinking about. It's instinctual through training it, working at it, and getting those types of reps, in practice. I think one thing we could do, which would be fun, let's try a little drill right now. We mentioned the John Morant crossover. I think we could demonstrate it right now, and I can show you a fun drill to work on it. So let's try this. So all you'll need is a basketball. And one way I love to teach dribble footwork is in a drill called dribble dance steps, where I'll just have players kind of replicate the move over and over again. They're working on the dribble part, they're working on the fake part. And then I may make it a little bit tougher as we go. We put music to it, because again, I think ball handlers are artists with the ball, and they have a certain swagger, they have a certain rhythm to it. So if you can train in this drill and you're listening to something upbeat, something slow, I think that helps to it. And for coaches out there, it just makes it more fun. I think in the drill, when you're adding the music, because basketball moves are really just choreography. And once you learn the footwork, the ball work, you become more successful with it. So let's do a quick drill where we're almost like dancers with the basketball. So I'm gonna take my headphones out and we can all try this.
Sounds good, Coach.
Let's see if I can get a set up here. Y'all can see my feet. Sweet. So one of mine is, with the John Morant crossover, it's that cross followed by the jab. So if I was doing dribble dance steps with a player, we would just get in rhythm, we get in that beat, we just go back and forth, right? Well, I would cross to my right, and I would jab left. And I'm just going back and forth with it, right? As a player gets better, I may change the dribble. Be like, all right, we're gonna go between. I may change the dribble and say we're going behind the back. And I'll have it to music. I'm letting players go. I'm letting them work on it. And we're just building that skill from there in a fun way. And also in kind of not always a blocked way, a varied way. I may change the dribble. I may change the footwork. But it's all the same. We got misdirection dribble and misdirection footwork in the drill. Set up here. So if you want to try that, let's see if we can get, let's see. So coach, if you want to try that, let's see if we can do that drill together.
All right.
And I can coach you through it here. Perfect. Yes, Christiana. Here we go. Let's do it. So you're going to start in the left hand. You can pretend there's music. We're going. You're going to cross, jab, left to right, right to left. Yes. See if you can do it without taking the extra dribble. So you got to really float it. So just go cross, jab, cross, jab, cross, jab, cross, jab. No extra dribble. Just cross and jab. That's the only dribble. She's got it. There it is. There it is. Find the rhythm. She's got to float the dribble. She's working on the move. Yep. Keep the rhythm. Keep the drill going. And it's a drill that looks easy, but it's actually really challenging. It messes with your brain a little bit, your mind. You're having to float the dribble and control it without carrying it. She's got it now. She's crushing it. Good. All right. Perfect. Perfect, Christiana. Let's try this. See if you can do the same drill, but do it with a between the legs dribble. Between the legs dribble. Perfect. Yep. Then back the other way. Yeah, it's tough. So it forces players to kind of have separation between ball and body. So she'll go between the legs to the right, jab, between the legs to the left, jab, between jab, between jab, between jab. And see if you can do it, Christiana. It's tough. This is tough. This is the challenge. See if you can do it with just one dribble. Ball goes one way, your fake goes the other. Just in that one dribble. That's it. Better. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Good. She got it. There's 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row. She's getting it. She's getting it. All right, and rest, and rest, and rest. Now we're going to change. That's good right there. You can change it. We're going to change the footwork for you now. Instead of taking a short jab, I want you to take a really long jab. So we'll go back to the crossover and shift your weight and shift. There we go. And now repeat. See if you can do it in one dribble each way and shift your whole body and the ball. So sometimes when I'm doing this move, I won't throw the short jab. I'll throw a longer jab and see more my body moving. It can make it more effective. And again, like we talked about before, if you just vary one part of it, if you innovate, it can totally change the whole complexity of the move. It becomes a different move. That's good. All right, rest. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. All right, I'm going to show you one more. We're going to see if we can put them all together. All right. So the last one we'll do, and there's a lot of variation with the footwork I'll do with this. We'll do 3 because as you can see, it's a tough drill. It's a tough move. Sorry, guys. The last one is the 2-step. So we did a little jab. We did a long jab. I call that a body jab. Now we're going to do a 2-step. I'll explain it, then we'll work on it. So I like to vary the distance in my fake. That can get the defense to lean more, react more, and the more of a variation in the distance of the fake, the more of a reaction you'll get from a defender. So if you're throwing a fake and you're moving 8 feet this way, and the next time you throw a fake and you're only moving 2 inches, and it looks the same from the beginning, it can be tough to guard. So this time, here's going to be the challenge. We're going to go 2 steps instead of 1 step. We did jab step. Now we're going to do a 2-step. So when I cross to my right, I'm going to get it to my outside pocket. I'm going to let it float. And then I'm going to sprint 2 steps in the opposite direction. And when you do that, it forces the defense to choose. Do they guard the ball? They guard you. When you're taking 2 steps away, and that's a Steph Curry move I've seen him use quite a bit as he will cross, get 2 steps away, and then react. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Cross. Yeah, 1, 2. She's got it. She's killing it. Good. Oh, that looks shifty. That looks shifty. Nice. All right, good. You can rest. You got it. You got it. That's good.
let's put all three together. So this would be like, all right, here's our dance steps, guys. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's how we're gonna work on it. So we're gonna do short jab step, long jab step, 1-2 steps. So it'll look like this. So you'll just get one rep on each hand of each. Short jab, long jab, 1-2, 1-2. Start from the beginning. Short, long, 1-2, 1-2. You got it. Let's see if we can put it all together. Good. Long jab. Perfect. And coaches and players, like this would be like, can you go through it 10 times in a row without making a mistake? Can you get all that sequence? If you can go jab, step, body jab, 1-2 with each hand, that's one rep. Can you get it 10 times, 15 times? I'll have players do it to different beats, different rhythms, different paces in the song, where they're having to change their rhythm. Oh yeah, she's got it. Perfect. She's killing it. She's killing it. So one secret to shifty is misdirection. Ball goes one way, body goes the other, footwork goes the other. And again, this is just 3 footwork moves in this move. We could go through 10 or 12 in a misdirection, vary it up. And it's just a quick, easy way to get a lot of reps. Awesome job. You're good. You can rest again. Awesome job. Everybody clap it up for her. Just watch it. Let's go. Great work. Great work. So that's the John Morant crossover. That's one of my favorites. And that's a fun way to work on it, where you're doing dribble dance steps. You're working on your footwork, your ball work. It's varied. That's how it is in the game. We're not always just doing the same thing. So it switches it up. And I think that translates better to the game. And it's fun. And like I said, kind of opening up, one of my inspirations is Pistol Pete Maravich. And, you know, he's an artist with the ball. So why don't we bring in components where it's not robotic and structured, and we allow players to kind of be free flowing? We give them a couple guidelines and rules, but then we just let them go and kind of be themselves with it. I can't dance at all, but I can if I have a basketball in my hand. So I like that drill. Makes me feel good.
I like it too.
Like I have some rhythm.
I like it.
Any questions so far from those watching on some of the drills we've done, or ideas or thoughts?
Well, there's some questions about, you know, who's got the best handles in the NBA. So
Great. Hang on one second. I'm gonna get my headphones back in. I can hear you a little better.
yeah,
Okay.
who do you think got the best handles in the NBA?
Okay.
It's one of the questions of our attendees.
I think I put ball handlers in different categories, you know, depending on when I'm examining stuff, and I'm like, man, that player's really fast with the ball. This player's crafty, but encompassing all of them currently, so hard. I'm from North Carolina, and he played most of NBA career in North Carolina. I love Kemba Walker. I think he's fun to watch. New York City guard, but of course you got Kyrie Irving. I think Steph Curry's come a long ways with his handle. But let me jump outside the NBA, because I think the best ball handlers may not be in the league. And I think one of my favorites is the Bone Collector, and James Harden spends time in the offseason working with him. So one of the best ball handlers in the world, I think, outside the league would be Bone Collector. There's another guy I follow, King Handles, Joey Haywood. He's phenomenal out of Canada. There's so many that I watch. And when I'm studying handles, it's not always somebody in the NBA. But in the NBA, I like Kemba Walker. I like Kyrie Irving.
All right. This is from Coach Phil Jimena. And good evening, Coach. My players from Marion Hawks are tuning in. And what would be your advice to them in order for them to still be engaged in the game and be able to upskill and improve amidst this crisis?
Great question. You know, it's tough for everybody right now. It's awful. For some, it's even tougher. It's not just day-to-day things, it's life and death. It's, so I feel thankful and gracious and to the Lord that I'm still able to kind of continue some normalcy in my day. But for basketball players that are wanting to get better in this time, here's what I've been sharing with my players. Like, when have we ever had a moment where our sole focus can be basketball? Well, that's all we do. We wake up in the morning, we work. In the afternoon, we work. In the evening, we work. Like, what an amazing time for self-improvement right now, where as before, even for myself, where it was before, last 6-7 weeks, I've not been able to train players. So I'm just working on my game. I'm just training. I've dribbled so much that my fingers have bled over the last 6 weeks. I can't shoot all the hoops in the Atlanta area. They put tarps over them and stuff. So I would say, like, use this time to focus solely on your craft and get better at it. And I would say, focus on what you can control. So many times over this quarantine, I've gone to my outdoor court and I've seen players come up, watch me doing my ball handling drills, see the hoop is covered up and leave. They're like, oh, we can't shoot, then I'm not going to work out and train. Focus on what you control. If you don't have a hoop, you can be the most unbelievable offensive player off a dribble in the triple threat. You can work on wall passing. You can do every skill imaginable, except shooting without a hoop. Focus on what you control, not what you can't. Things are going to open back up. Things are going to return to normal. It's going to happen. Did you put in the work? Did you put in the time? Did you take advantage of it? Those answers will be revealed when we get back on the court. Study the game, spend time. There's so many great resources out there for free on YouTube and Instagram. You can take and learn a drill. For myself, kind of my daily routine right now is I'll take something I can't do and I go to the court in the morning. I try to get it. If I can't, I come back in the afternoon. If I don't get it then, I'll come back later in the evening. And then usually by the time I'm filming it and putting it on my YouTube channel, and I'm excited. With my day, like, one focus I have is I'm a brick mason. I'm going to lay the most perfect brick I can lay today. I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about the whole structure I'm trying to build. I'm just going to try to lay the most perfect brick I can. So those are just a couple of areas of focus I think would be, helpful for players.
Yeah, awesome, Coach. There's a question all the way from Ghana, from Shine Aite. What will be your advice for a young coach like him, all the way from Ghana?
Sure. Just be, don't just work at it, outwork. Like, just be the consummate student of the game. For myself now, and I think for a lot of coaches that are watching that are successful, it's important to always have that beginner mindset. And this quarantine has kind of put me in that situation where I don't have players to train. And I feel like I'm as a beginner again. But being a beginner, being a rookie, just having that humble approach. You're not getting burnt out. You're just working at it. You're learning new stuff every day. Really strategic things that help me. Take one skill every month and do a research project on it. It might be free throw shooting. It might be, the triple threat. Take one little focused area, spend a whole month, read every book, watch every video. Your eyes are only trained on that. You don't work on any other skill. You don't train it yourself. You don't teach it yourself, and just spend a whole month on one area of the game. Whether it's, back in the day, I would write drill books like this. They were 30 and 40 pages long by the end of it. And I would only take like the best from everybody, what I really liked. And, but today's age, you can video it, you can film it, you can store it. That helped me out tremendously. I think so many times we want to be fast. We want to get ahead. We want to, it's a marathon, and you'll be served better going slower and really knowing each area of the game as best you can. And for me, it was a blessing because not that I use this stuff for anything than my personal training, but a few years ago, I was sitting at home on on a couch, didn't have any training that day, and I got a phone call out of the blue, and it was from a publishing company. It ended up being the largest publishing company of sports-related textbooks. And like, Ryan, we've seen your stuff online. We think you'd be great fit for authoring our next basketball fundamentals textbook. Had I not done, and this is such a blessing to have this opportunity. I'm not a writer. Like, if you look back in my schoolwork in the days of, composition class, I barely got by. But because I had put in all this groundwork beforehand and had all these drill books, it was like it was already written for me. And so that would probably be the biggest thing I would encourage you to do. Just take a month, focus on a skill. And that came from my mentor, Matt McMahon at Murray State. And that's something that the great John Wooden would do in his off seasons, is he would just, it might be sideline out of bounds plays or boxing. I know for one month he did just free throw line schemes, boxing out and things you could do, at the foul line. So just get really detailed with the game.
All right. So can we go on? What do you want me to play next, Coach?
Sure. We can do a fun one. Let's take a step outside the offensive moves, and let's go into some overload drills, because I know a lot watching may want to hear about some Stephen Curry drills. Let's look at one of the quicker handles drills from Stephen Curry, if we have any of those videos with the tennis ball.
Which one, the level 1 or level 2?
Let's start with the easier one. Let's start with level 1. And let me preface it a little bit by saying, Steph, here's some things he shared with me. And we spent just a little bit of time together, but I asked a lot of questions. He said he loves to train going 150 miles an hour so he can play at 100. So you'll kind of see that in the drill. You're going to see some tennis ball action and stuff. And you've probably seen some of his stuff on YouTube that he does, but he tries to mix it up. He's not afraid to look terrible, which I think is such a blessing. He's the most patient player, and I'll talk about that more in a second. But he's the most patient player I've ever been around. He's humble. He's patient. He'll be really bad at a drill, and that's okay to him. He loves to get outside his comfort zone. So these are some tennis ball drills that he does.
All right.
Curry ball that he actually does in his own personal workouts. This is a drill that Steph showed me back in the day when I used to direct his Elite Skills Academy. You need a basketball and a tennis ball, and we're going to follow one simple pattern. You bounce the tennis ball, then you toss the tennis ball. We'll work on a number of different change of direction dribbles, but just follow that same pattern. Bounce it, then toss it. Here in the first drill, we worked on the crossover. Here in the second, we're working on the between the legs dribble. I bounce it between, then toss it between. I keep that pattern. And Steph really loves drills like this because it overloads his senses. It makes it much tougher than it would be in the game. So he's really putting a lot of stress on his ball handling skills, on his peripheral vision, on his offhand being active and alert. And he has to really fine-tune it. And again, he loves overload drills like this. He's a big believer that you train going 150 miles an hour so that you can play at 100. Now that we understand the pattern and we've learned our 3 drills, let's throw it into a challenge. In our level 1 Stephen Curry quicker handles challenge, see if you can complete each of the 3 drills with your right hand and your left hand without making a mistake. If you can do that, you've completed 1 lap in our challenge. To beat the challenge, you must complete 5 laps without making a mistake. Again, to review, can you complete each of the 3 drills? That's the crossover, the between the legs, and the behind the back with your right hand and your left hand without making a mistake. If you can do that, you've completed 1 lap. If you can complete 5 laps, you've beaten the challenge and you've beaten the drill. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, this is just level 1 in the drill. There are levels 2, 3, and 4, and you don't want to miss those. So make sure you subscribe to my channel today.
So yeah, that's a tennis ball drill. I know, I have, visiting the Philippines. I know that's common. I see a lot of great trainers there. They're utilizing it, and Steph just kind of mixes it up. He'll toss one, he'll bounce one, toss one, bounce one, just to kind of make it, just to play with his brain a little bit. And you'll see in a lot of my ball handling videos, you'll see on YouTube, or if you train with me, there's levels to it. And I got that again from Les Robinson sharing with me about who I think is probably the best skill development coach of all time, Press Maravich. What he used to do with Pete, he called it homework basketball, is he would say, Pete, beginning of the week, if you can do this drill, I'll say you're a player. And of course, Pete, looking up to his father, who was a pro and a college coach, he's like, all right. And he would work on it. He would do it. And he'd get to the end of the week and he would accomplish it. And then Press would say, I was awesome, but here's the next level. And if you can do this, then I'll say say you're a player. And he kept leveling up. And I think so many times for us as players, and I'm speaking really to the pros now that are watching, there is no plateau. And take that from Stephen Curry that does drills like this, but it's not the drill, it's the standard. Keep leveling up. If you keep reaching, eventually you'll pull yourself up to that next level. And I think so many times when you play the game for long enough, you get settled into like, this is what I do. This is how I do it. I don't need to do these other things. And Steph is all about constant and continuous growth. He feels like if he's not growing, he's, digressing. He's going the other way. So I love leveling up drills. It does more for you than just build your skill. It builds your whole mindset. It's just a great thing that happens to you mentally when you see improvement. For me, it's a self-motivator. When I accomplish something, then I want to get back out there and try it again. So, especially the older players that are watching, try to accomplish something new every day. And it can take your confidence to a whole other level. And we know that the mental side of the game is just as important as the physical side. So, Coach, if you've got level 2, let's go ahead and let's check that out too. Let's see level 2 of that same drill.
I've got level 2. Okay. Let me get to level 2.
Hey, this is Coach Ryan with the Stephen Curry Quicker Handles Drill Level 2. In the drill, you need a basketball and a tennis ball. We're going to work on a number of different combination moves, really testing our handle. The tennis ball is our accountability for going game speed and being faster than fast with our handle. But here's the pattern. You're going to drop the tennis ball and dribble the basketball at the same time. Tennis ball and basketball should hit the same time before you execute your different combo moves. Now, the test and the challenge is the higher you drop the tennis ball, the easier the drill is to complete. The lower you drop it, the more difficult it is to complete that combo move and snatch it before it hits the ground. So I would encourage you, as you get better, lower that tennis ball and try to drop it below the knee to really test your handle and go faster than fast. Unless the drill is in slow motion, it can be tough to see what's going on. So again, to review, I drop the tennis ball and I pound the dribble. I want to pound that dribble at the same time the tennis ball hits the ground. I don't just go right into my combination move. It's a pound, then it's a combo move. It's a pound, it's a combo move, and I'm timing that pound dribble with the tennis ball hitting the ground. And like we mentioned in level 1 of the Stephen Curry Quicker Handles drill, Steph loves overload drills, drills that put a lot of stress and hold him accountable for going faster than fast. He loves to train outside his comfort zone, so essentially makes training hard so the game is easy. Such a big fan of this drill. If you want quicker handles, this is a go-to. Remember, this is just level 2 in our quicker handles series. Level 3 and 4 coming soon, so make sure you subscribe.
So yeah, that's a fun one too. You drop the tennis ball. For older players, you can drop the tennis ball at like knee level or below the knee level, and that is a challenge. That will really speed up your handle. For younger players, you can drop it at waist level to give yourself a little bit more time. But again, as you get better, you want to lower that drop. For me, when I'm doing ball handling, we're watching some of these Stephen Curry drills. I want players to train at 3 speeds because the best ball handlers play at 3 speeds. And that's fast forward, not fast, but fast forward, slow motion, and pause. So I love to do drills like these. The purpose is so I can play and fast forward in a game, because that's been one thing I've noticed with the best ball handlers is the dynamic between fast and slow is much different and much larger than an average player. So doing drills like this can really speed up your handle. Give you some more like Stephen Curry things I learned from him. He trains two different ways. He does precision training, which would be like the breakdown drills we did before. He'll take the time to do 20 minutes of form shooting. He'll take the time to do 15 minutes of different miking drills and finishes at the rim. But he'll also overload it. So it is a mix of both. He doesn't spend his whole practice with a tennis ball and goggles and, things like that. He keeps it pretty much game specific and game like for the most part, but he will take some time every day to do overload drills, like these.
All right. So, what do you like next, Coach?
Any questions about Steph that I could answer now for anybody? Anybody got a Steph
some
Curry
questions. Well, it's not a Steph Curry question, but why,
Okay, no problem.
why did you choose to focus on mastering dribbling skills, among all basketball skills, from Lance?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think thinking back to my playing career as a smaller player, it was a skill that I was good at, and early on I wanted to be the best at it as a skill trainer. I think there's some guys that have passed me now, but I think at one point when I was, younger, top of my game, that was a real strength for me. But I think in terms as a player, it's like as a coach, you take a player out if they can't play on both ends, if they can't defend and rebound, but if they turn the ball over. And I feel like that's your number one job as a basketball player is not to, score 30 points or dish out 10 assists. It's just not to turn it over. And I think being a great ball handler and focusing on that certainly helps. I've been blessed to train a few. One prep player I trained, Tyler Lewis. He played at Oak Hill. He's my size. Because of the ball handling drills and time he would put in, he had an 8-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. So I think if you want to garner trust from your coach, you got to protect that thing, especially as a guard.
Erwin would like to ask if those drills are applicable for 12 and under players.
That's a good question. I have progression with everything that I do. So they could certainly do that. Absolutely. I think it would be great for them as long as the basketball skills and fundamentals aren't sacrificed. So, for example, sometimes with younger players, if I do drills like these and they're not ready for it, then their crossover will be really slow and weak because they're trying to get the tennis ball. If they can master the basic dribbling skills first and they're not, it's not a detriment to them where they're picking up bad habits, then absolutely. And there's ways like with the tennis ball, my progression is we catch it on the bounce, we catch it in the air. But if you have players that aren't quite ready for that, a balloon is great. It descends slower and gives your players a little bit more time so they can, still practice good habits.
What was your philosophy on failure? What's your philosophy on failure? Carl wants to ask that.
That is the key to success. Failure plus failure plus failure plus failure plus failure plus failure equals success in everything, and especially in basketball. You can't get good as a young player at the left-hand layup unless you miss thousands. And that's one of my main workout rules with players is we have to be okay with it. It's a rung in the ladder where we want to go. I also tell my players, and I got this from Conor McGregor. I like studying athletes in different sports, and Conor is all about you win or you learn. You never lose. We win or learn. And I think that mindset's amazing. I've gotten to spend some time with the great Phil Ford, University of North Carolina legend, played in the NBA, great coach in the NBA in college. Phil Ford told me that in Chapel Hill at the University of North Carolina, he used to tell players if they made a mistake, they had to tell themselves internally, I just got better. If they saw someone else mess up in a drill, they had to share with them, you just got better, not in some corny or cliche way. Like, they were serious. They believed in it. And that was a part of their culture was failure. So it's a part of my, I can speak it because it's real for me. It's failure. I wouldn't be the ball handler I am today without chasing the ball around all over the place. If you watch the videos that we just saw, I'm a perfectionist. I have a standard. That took me an hour and a half. You're seeing the best takes. The rest of the takes, I'm chasing the ball over the park, which is great. If you want to get faster, you want to get better, you want to grow your game, you have to change how you view it. Failure. So yeah, that's a major part.
But,
It's hard to sell it to players though sometimes.
do you want to see how you teach young players to shoot? Or what was your teaching points to not shoot? And maybe you can show Christiana how to do it. What's your teaching points on, the right form shooting?
Sure. I'm all about simplicity. I think if you make it too complex for any player, it's going to be a challenge. Let's not make it something that is not. We're just trying to put the ball in the basket. There's a certain few things that are important that are non-negotiables. But there's some things that can skew a little bit from player to player. So yeah, we could do a few drills for sure. I love doing drills without a ball, especially with younger players. I think sometimes the ball can be a detriment to learning. So it's just a part of your day. So I'll tell players, we're going to do form shooting, just as a part of your day. If you're raising your hand in class to ask a question, if you're just sitting at home on the couch in a commercial break, build great habits with your form without a ball. Once they, get some understanding, then we'll add the ball, but we won't actually shoot at the basket. So there's a lot of drills that I'll do line shooting where we find a line, just a straight line. We're shooting a ball at the same height as the hoop. We're trying to hit the line, trying to shoot in a straight line. We're shooting the ball up in the air. We're shooting the ball to the partner. A lot of the, traditional drills are great drills for building a player's form. And then eventually we'll add the shot. We'll start 2 feet out and build some range with it. But I try to, for me, a couple of the shooting fundamentals that I think are most important would be our balance hand is not in the shot. We're not thumbing the ball. It's a light grip. I have smaller hands. So for me, I shoot right through that grip. I don't take that hand off the ball at all. For players with bigger hands that have more ball control, they'll take it off at the last second, like Steph Curry does at the last moment. So getting your balance hand, just a balance hand. Your shooting hand, we flick and finish at the rim. Again, nothing here that's, too crazy, just traditional things. We flick and finish at the rim. That makes sure our shot goes straight. I'll try to think, I don't want to give y'all too many cliche things. I think for me, the 2 areas that I look at that I think make a big difference that aren't talked about, your shot path. You want to have a 45-degree angle. There's so many great apps now. The Home Court app by Steve Nash, where you can measure your angle of the path of the ball. I think that is crucial. We want to try to swish our makes. We don't want to hit the rim at all. The great Dave Hopla, when he's shooting the ball, he's swish, swish, swish. If you hit the rim at all, you're giving it a chance not to go in. So let's aim small. Let's try to swish it. Best angle degree is 45. Empowering players on how to, stay in that small degree of angle, between 44 to 46. The best shooters, it doesn't vary much. But with average shooters, that degree in their shot path, that angle varies quite a bit. So the way I teach players to control their distance is it's all about the angle of your release. The lower your angle of release, the more distance you're going to get on your shot. The higher and further back your release, the less distance you're going to get on your shot. The more arc, the less distance. So a lot of times in practice, I'll have players, we have goals of swish makes instead of just making a shot. We want to swish it. And we're trying to find that perfect angle and then try to replicate it, build muscle memory where we get the, we're trying to swish it. We want to really aim small, and it's all about that angle of release. Now, I'm not talking about like varying it by 5 and 6 inches. We're just talking centimeters. And once you find that perfect angle and you're switching your makes, I think that's probably to me the biggest thing. Shooting straight and shooting at a great angle and being able to consistently do that, and aiming small and trying to swish your makes are crucial. And there's a number of drills that you could do for that. I wish we had a hoop. We just do a whole shooting clinic and do that. But those are just a few. I'm pretty traditional in the sense of shooting. I have some non-negotiables, but I don't dictate everything if it's not so important. I know there's some personal preference with it.
David Bessie would like to ask, when are you coming back to the Philippines? They miss you in Bacolod. So David Bessie said.
David, thanks for watching. Good to hear from you. I would love to come back. With the conditions right now, it makes it tough, but I try to plan to come every couple of years, and hopefully in 2021 be able to make something happen.
Right, Dr. Eddie, you were talking. Sorry to stop you on that.
Coach, for the guide hand, some player when they shoot, the guide hand helps, quote unquote, helps with the shot. How is there any drills that you can keep the guide hand in place, or is it just repetition?
There are some good drills, cheap ones too. There's so many shooting gadgets out there, and I don't hate those. I just think as a player, you can improvise and find things around your home, and they'll do just as good a job. So kind of my progression with the guide hand, that's good. I can demonstrate it right here. Is I will do form shooting with one hand, and we've got to be like a waiter or a waitress. We got to balance that ball, elbow under the basketball. And when we bring our guide hand into the shot with our next progression, I'll do some shots where we're not even touching the ball, but it's right there. It's just shadowing it, and we'll shoot. We're not touching it. It's still one hand form shooting. All right. And we're not turning that thumb. All right. Our shooting hand says goodbye to the ball, and our guide hand just says hi. We're not turning to the basket. Right. And so that would be the first progression. We only had the hand on the ball. If they have a lot of trouble with thumbing it, the couple of drills I'll do are I will make a fist here. That way we can't use our thumb. Right. But that's not as game-like. So probably my favorite drill is you just take a coin. For me, I like to use a bigger coin, an American currency, like a quarter. But you could use anything small, and I just pinch it between my thumb and the rest of my, hand. That way, if I let go of it, then I would be able to thumb it. So it kind of holds me accountable. So I pinch that coin, and then you can't get your thumb in the shot at all. As much as they want to try, they can't get their thumb in the shot. And that's actually something, it doesn't just have to be form drills. I'll do dribble, offensive moves, making moves, pull up, jump shots, going to my right to my shooting hand, and I'm still pinching that coin. So you can kind of go more game-like, and it's not just form, and it's more of a natural thing. But, the biggest thing is, and I think all coaches can attest to this, teaching shooting takes great patience with players. And you have to get them to buy in. You can pour all you want to and show all these drills and stuff, but if they don't take ownership over their own shot, if you're not able to get them to buy in either through film study or because it's a journey. Shooting is a journey. where you're going to take 2 steps back before you move forward. So I think if you preface that to a player, if you tell them what it's going to be like and show them the end result's going to be great, if you could share with them stories about Stephen Curry and how he was a very average basketball player. He changed his shot going into, his senior year in high school, and how that, changed his game. It's tough though. Shooting is, to me, one of the most difficult skills, because you have to have your player bought in, and they have to be their own skill coach. They have to know the fundamentals, practice the fundamentals, make it a habit, and they're going to take a lot more shots without you than they will, with you.
All right. Dr. Lee, you have a question again and then I'm going to ask Christiana also this question. So
Right.
watch out. You'll answer also from a player's standpoint, Christiana. So, Teddy?
As doing your coaching skills in many countries, could you give us the 5 qualities that a skills coach should possess in order to be successful? Thanks, Coach.
Sure. Just off the top of my head, first would be patience. Everybody's going to learn differently. They're going to learn at different rates. So being patient with players, allowing them to practice new things in a stress-free environment. And then, of course, you got to turn it up after that. So be patient is 1. 2, it's a different day and a different age of players. Whereas when I played, I may have had coaches yelling and screaming, and, it's important. You got to motivate and push, but I think it's different. People are different today. Kids are different. So I try to think of it as a collaboration with players, more than I'm the dictator and telling you what to do every moment of the day. I'll have some non-negotiables, but this is a collaborative effort. That's especially true when I train higher level players. There's a respect there. So being collaborative. For coaches, you have to be prepared, being prepared, because if you're not, the players are going to recognize it really quick, and coincide with being prepared for your practices and stuff is having confidence. They're not going to believe and buy into it unless you exude a certain presence and confidence in what you're teaching and doing. Another would be people work before basketball work. Pour into your players as a person. For me, as a Christian, that's a big part of what I do. Is I want to make you a better basketball player, but if we're not growing in our relationship with the Lord, if we're not becoming better people, better students, better players, so developing a personal relationship, and it's not just basketball, with a player goes a long way with everything, because it's the ball's going to stop bouncing at one point or another. And then a personal thing for me is I'm small. I don't look the part as a basketball player. When I'm on the court, though, the biggest thing I want players to take away is like how hard I work. So I demonstrate. And if you have that ability as a coach, and you can demonstrate and you can inspire and you can go 100 miles an hour in a drill and you can master the drills yourself. Not every coach is that neat or necessary. For me, a personal thing is like, I want to be able to inspire by the demonstration that I do it as a player. I want to be the hardest worker in the gym, every gym I ever walk into, because that's the most important basketball skill. So as a coach, I want to embody that. I want to share that. I want to try to bring that out of my players, is just a relentless intensity when you work, and that we're consistently, in there.
All right. Thank you, Coach Ryan. And Christiana, for your followers, you have the followers and a lot of fans that are following your career as a player. What will be your advice, and especially to my nephew who's watching, Julius is watching? So, what will be advice for aspiring young players?
What I have to say is for you to always find the motivation within yourself. You don't have to wait for it to come to you before you get up and work, because that's what happens most of the time these days. Teenagers like us, we always say is that we want to be better players, but we don't do anything to be better players. We wait for the moment we're motivated. I think that has to come in yourself. That has to come from you. You don't have to. You don't need to have people to blame when you don't get better. You need to have the initiative to work. If you keep waiting for reasons to work, nothing will happen, and you never have to believe that you're already good enough. Never be satisfied with what you can do. Every day is another chance to be better. Every day is another chance to work harder. Because you can't guarantee yourself that you'll be the best player, but you can most definitely be the player that works the hardest. And that's my advice to all the aspiring players out there.
All right. So word of advice from Christiana. And somebody wants a shout out, Christiana. It's Dave's birthday. So shout out Dave.
Dave?
Dave's birthday.
Hi, Dave. Happy birthday.
All right.
Hope you enjoy your day despite the lockdown.
All right. Thank you. All right, Coach. So again, we'd like to thank you. I know the time is not enough, but you can follow your workouts on YouTube, and they can reach out to you on your Instagram platform. And we'd like from the bottom of our hearts here in the Philippines, and from the players and the coaches that stayed and attended, and those on YouTube. We'd like to thank you for your time and effort, and we'd like to give you this the final word or final remarks from you. And so the floor is yours again.
Thank you so much. It's, just feel, what an awesome opportunity to be with y'all today, to speak on basketball. If I can help you out in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out to me on my social media platforms. I usually reply pretty quickly. Anybody that's watching today, definitely go to the YouTube channel. I release new stuff every other day, and it will, kind of keep that going, especially during this time period where everything's shut down. And there's already hundreds of videos on there. So there's so much you can go on there and work out and train with me. But appreciative of the opportunity to be here. Hope everybody will stay safe, and hope to come back to the Philippines in 2021.
Yes, we'd like to love to have you again. We'd like to thank Christiana, Dandalet, Doc Teddy. Thank you for the time, and of course, thank you, Coach Ryan, and to all who've attended. It's been unbelievable 2 weeks for us running these webinars, and then I'd like to thank you all for supporting. And again, please follow our Facebook page for the updates, and we'll have another session tomorrow. There's a session with Rick Olivares. He'll be having Renan Ritualo, and then we'll go to the session of Coach Derek Umaran, who's with his patented full court press. Again, stay safe, everyone. And Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach.
Everyone stay safe. God bless, and see you again tomorrow.
Thank you, Coach
Bye.
Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the new drills.
All right. Good night.